Welcome to Coming Home, Survive and Thrive in Homeschooling. Don't throw away so much of the old to bring in the new. The old is there for a good reason. It has been tried, tested and refined over many years. The new may look sparkling, exciting and more lively, but soon it too will become the old, to be mercilessly swept away for the next anointed novelty. Do not assume that because you have become so accustomed to the way it is done, it is boring and irrelevant, and what you need is a little excitement to refresh you. Well, maybe you do, but it doesn't mean the old is out of date and irrelevant. Instead, look for what is certain and dependable, whilst purposefully looking out for seeing an old concept in a renewing way. It's the old tussle between progressive and conservative. It's not one or the other, it's both. The courage to bring progressive to conservative, knowing it too will become conservative in its time. It can be applied to education, art, family, politics, anything that our Western civilization has done well. For this podcast, these are my thoughts on church in England, but it could be church anywhere. It seems the church is often late to recognise what trends are, adopting them as exciting and new, sure to bring in new people, whilst not seeing it as already passé. It is said there is a current return to original and ancient liturgy and procedure. In an age when our modern Western civilization is losing its significance and sense of purpose and meaning, it should be no surprise that people are craving and searching for something to cling to, something that reminds them of the strength of our past and brings a sense of certainty in a time of uncertainty. Will we be ready to welcome the new searchers and old returners to the faith that always was? When they come, will they find the rich depth of ancient expression that connects them to their ancestors? Trends and the way we do things move in circles, deceiving us into believing we are newly receiving direction and blessing from God. Clearing away the dead wood is a familiar biblical but out of context quote, or breathing life into what was almost dead. When God's Spirit was there all along, He did not leave, and He has not returned because we asked Him to. Novelty has its place, but replacement is not it. Keep what time has proved, decorate and embellish with occasional novelties, but don't mistake the icing for the cake. The later service is not more alive, for that would imply the earlier service is not. That's not true. When we came, we were surprised at the amount of people there on a Sunday morning. If we believe the popular media, there should be just a handful of little old ladies. That's part of the problem. Don't believe the popular media. They're very good at misinformation, bluntly put, lying. My husband and I come from decades of a church searching for more alive, each time believing God's Spirit was leading us. Each new trend became old and replaced, and none ever grew the church that I noticed. What I do know is that new can mean shallow, replacing prayers, liturgy and calendar, written, tested and aged by well-educated and theologically sound Christians. Often the new being instigated by strong charismatic believers not theologically trained, but imploring us to let the Spirit lead with little theology or testing, when mostly it was their idea all along. Embrace new ways, but do not replace the old or assume God's Spirit is not there, or at least He's more in the other service. It's not more alive, it's just different and just as important. St. Paul's advice of test all things is just as sound as it ever was, even exciting, sparkly things. It was a relief to step into an ancient building with the pastor, or vicar, in his ancient garments, celebrating an ancient faith. It brought a sense of relief and comfort. For the most part, this is the way it has been for years. New hymns have come and gone, but the old bring a deep sense of intelligence and, in many, the story of the gospel. To look up into the arches of the roof, the stained glass windows, and tombs of previous parishioners from centuries ago brings for us an instant and comforting connection to believers over centuries, all worshipping the God of ages who never changes. I'll use the metaphor of the seasons. Each has its vital place, and none is more important than the other. Each season may be different from the year before, but we know winter always passes and becomes spring. No matter how longer it was or how much colder than it usually is, the old stays with a novelty which passes. The well-worn stone step holds a clear image of our church. Many people have stepped on it, many changes have been made, and much has remained. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It takes courage, honesty, and faith. It is God we worship, not the way we do it. I know there is much I could go on to say. Each point I have made could take a hefty chapter in a heavy book. But this is my starting point, and I apply the same thinking process to homeschooling. What is sacred are our children we are educating and bringing up, not the curriculum we choose. Thank you for listening. Can I invite you to please like, subscribe if you haven't, and do share, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.